What's up, everybody? What is up? It's the YadaCoin show. You know it's time to do some airdrops. You know it's time to get crazy. Just kidding. But it is Saturday night, and we are going to do some airdrops. I have some new widgets up here that we're going to use for displaying chat. Okay, let's go ahead and chill for a second here. Not chill that much. Chill that much. Okay. So, we're going to do some reactions, I think. So let's look here. Let me get my... Because it doesn't look like this chat is actually... I had to go live to test the chat. So, I'm sort of testing this right as we speak. Oh. I also need to change the... Alright, let's see here. I'm typing hello in the chat. Maybe I didn't get the right restream link. Try that. Embed stream. Embed web chat. Copy. Oh, you know what? I don't think I did copy the right one. It might have been the right one. Alright, let's try this. Let's see if this works. It does work. Alright, so that's from X. And I think I can apply CSS to this, which I'll eventually do. It'll be like a MySpace thing. Hello from Twitch. Ooh, it's actually pretty fast. Not that big though. That's hard to read or not. I feel like it needs to be like way too... like I won't even see it. Let's see if I can make it a different size, like width 800, width like 500, and height 600. There we go. That works. Alright, I can see that now. YadaCoin, bro, why you sleeping on Peak Pie? Oh god. How do I get rid of this person? Go away. I feel like it should be easier to ban them, but it's not. Now I have to like go into this moderator panel. There. Anyway. Anywho. But their message remains there. Small issue. Maybe I could just bury his message off screen. There we go. Perfect. All right. All right. All right. Let's look here. We'll split the view with Twitch, and then we'll go to YouTube as usual. For no reason. Oh, now I'm blocking my YadaCoin logo though. I feel like I need to have it over here. Let's face it, there's really no good spot for it. Either way. Okay. How we're gonna do the chat with, well, that's why you need the chat to have a transparent background. Custom CSS. Oh. Body. Oh, I see. So we have to look up how to get customized chat. Right. Theme 8-bit. Background opacity 0. Actually, maybe 30. I don't like 8-bit. Fortnite. That's kind of cool. Minecraft. I don't know. Default dark rounded. All right, let's go for that. Supposedly it'll work. Nice. That's what we like to see. Oh yeah. That's really cool. Alright, so why do I always say hello? Damn it. Allow. Let's refresh the cache. Just erase that from distance. Hello. Hello from YouTube. Hello from... Okay, seriously. Hello from YouTube. Oh, that's just sick. I like it a lot. I like that very much. That's really cool. Yes. That way I can just focus on this screen, really. Like what's going on. Oh, that's good. Like that. X is so far behind. I don't even need to have those open. They're just taking up bandwidth. So hello from X, hello from YouTube. I said from YouTube when I was on Twitch. Let's just make sure. Hello from Twitch. All right, we're good to go. We're good to go. We're good to go. We are good to go. All right, I love that. I love it. Whew. You don't know how big of a burden that is off of me. Because I really want to get everyone's chat. You know, I want to be able to respond to everything. Why is there someone doing that? Ban them. Cyberhouse Lord, how are you? Here's something that I think you're gonna like. This hoodie. And we're gonna run it for a steal. I like fiddling with the chain. Put that chain down. That chain's for closer. Well, thanks for coming to the chat. Price. Is it an absolute steal? Yeah, we're running it for a steal. Does it seem like something you're interested in? I could get you a really good price. But only if you're super interested. Well, this is a YadaCoin hoodie, and it has these white all cotton tie-offs, and of course has these end things. I forget what those are called. I used to know what those are called. Aglets. The plastic, so yeah. So we have a little knot here, and then it comes down. This is a part polyester. This is a correction. There's a part polyester, part cotton tie-off, and at the end you have a plastic aglet, very high quality, no seam line, and then you have a white YKK zipper that is stainless steel, very high quality. And on the inside you have a very nice fleece material. This is a large, and I am about a 38 regular, so this is made for kind of a bear, you would say, and a big back, I guess. And so now, let me check this out. And yeah, we're gonna run this for a stack as not a coin. Gangster. YadaCoin. And the YadaCoin text. And yeah, we could run this for a steal if you're interested. Cyberhouse Lord. The hood. I can try the hood on real quick. It looks very nice. And this is also a very warm hoodie. The drawstrings definitely bring it closer to your head. And yeah, the inside of the hoodie is also that nice fleece material. So all in all, extremely comfortable, and it is definitely very expensive retail, but we could run it for a steal right now. What's that? You don't want to sell it? Why not? Okay, well, I already told him that I would run it. Well, I kind of have to run it now. So, okay, well, they don't want me to let it go, but you know, I'm a man of my word, so I can let it go this time, but I should have asked. But they really don't want to let it go because it's really, really special, and this is actually a really rare collector item. I didn't know that when I brought it up. So I might get in a little bit of trouble for this. Actually, they might come back in the room and tell me not to sell it. So I'm just gonna run it for a steal right now, and if somebody picks it up, if somebody buys it, then I'll just say, hey, you know, I didn't know, and somebody decided to buy it. Okay, I'm gonna run it right now, and but you gotta pick it up if you're gonna, because they could tell me to just, you know, take it off the market. Oh, pit to pit, 38, but this is very stretchy, so basically fit anyone. It's a 38 regular. It's extremely stretchable, very comfortable. Usually this goes for $800, but I'm selling it right now for $25. So I'm really running it for a steal. Okay, we'll run it. Running it. Running it. Let's run it. And it looks like it goes to Cyberhouse Lord. Yes, of course, Cyberhouse Lord. Of course you can gift it to somebody. Okay, I actually have to do a live stream here. Quit fucking around. All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Everybody. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's get some legit stuff going on here. Let's react to some content.
Bitcoin was, for whatever reason, left in the hands of governments, in the hands of lawyers, in the hands of bankruptcy trustees. Like the
Okay. So let's get this I don't give up that. I need to have this browser in there. What? Huh. I guess we'll have to do another browser. Oh, it's probably a screen capture. There we go. Make me smaller. Oh, that was already on there. Okay. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this music. Okay. Here we go.
Why is the price at 150 or 200K?
I think we're going through a rotation right now where lots of non-economically interested parties are rotating out of the asset, and then a new cohort of investors are entering. A lot of Bitcoin was, for whatever reason, left in the hands of governments, in the hands of lawyers, in the hands of bankruptcy trustees, like the FTX bankruptcy, and they kind of had to hold it for a year or 2 years as they're working through their process. And then when they saw this massive market rally, I think a lot of those trustees, they don't have a 10-year investor's mindset. They just thought, well, this is a good exit point to get liquidity. So I think people less committed to the long term have been taking this opportunity to exit the market. And I think a whole new class of investors are entering by way of the ETFs and by way of the Bitcoin treasury companies.
Why is the price at 150 or 200K?
I think we're going through a rotation.
So what he's saying is that people are getting out of Bitcoin that were in it, that got ravaged by FTX and some other probably, I think even Mt. Gox has something to do with that, where people are still getting their money and they're actually finally getting paid out, and then they're taking that money and, you know, actually selling the Bitcoin. So a ton of liquidity is just entered the market and they're just dumping. How's it going? Gifted. So what is this? Is gifting 5 tier 1 subs to YadaCoin's community. They've gifted a total of 5 in the channel. So Amerara, Kiwi Cheeto, Perfect Susanu 24. Your Codfather. Constantine 938. What did that do? What is gifting tier 1 subs? You pay for a 1-month subscription to a streamer's channel for another random specific viewer in that chat, given that person subscriber perks like emotes, sub badges, without them paying for it, while also supporting the streamer financially. Oh wow. Nice. Okay, okay. So maybe they'll be back. That would be cool. All right. Anywho. Oh, that's for your hoodie? Okay, fine. You can have one. You can have a small, okay? You just have to promise that you'll wear it. Promise? Look for more Bitcoin shorts. Actually, let's see about this Natalie Bruin. Going to jail for Bitcoin. Man, why is everybody talking about jail so much?
They sentenced you to 5 years in federal prison. Did you know there was criminal activity happening through your services?
So I knew that criminals would use Samurai Wallet, just like there's criminal activity on any piece of software, any piece of technology. Facilitating crime is not what I'm about. I have no interest in it.
Prosecutors said that when asked to explain mixing, you described it as money laundering for Bitcoin.
As if everything that the government has produced in their indictment against us, it all lacks context, because this is a weaponized DOJ operating under a novel new theory that somehow a software provider is responsible for the actions of their end users.
You go report to prison this month. Are you scared?
No, I'm not scared. But then, of course, sadness that I need to leave my family and leave my wife for the next 5 years.
Well, I know there's an active petition hoping that President Trump will offer you a pardon. What is your message?
He, better than anyone, knows what a weaponized DOJ is like. So I think President Trump is ultimately someone who understands deals, and he understands a raw deal. And this was a raw deal.
They sentenced you to
well, I'm gonna need more context to know about that one. But I mean, yeah, like they grant safe harbor to like every website out there. So okay, yeah, go get Nexus. But yeah, they grant safe harbor to YouTube. They grant safe harbor to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. People do illegal stuff on there all the time, and they just say, oh, well, you have to delete it in a reasonable amount of time. But apparently, if you're not in the club, then you don't get afforded that same liberty. Anyway,
I have come to learn in my Bitcoin journey that we don't need inflation. We've created inflation and we've created this debt-based, credit-based economy. But when you do that, it has tremendous consequences the further you go out in time, because you're always borrowing from future generations and you always need more debt to create less and less real value.
And not only that, you create this cycle that creates debt slaves. And you can see this play out when the Fed actually decreases the amount of money that is allowed to be in the system. And then that puts a chokehold on the labor market, which then makes people get fired. But of course, they've already committed to tons of services and living expenses. They're committed, and so you can't just because the government enforces contracts. So now these people are committed to these things, and they're now missing payments, and then now they're in debt on those things, or they're getting in trouble or whatever, and then then you release more money and you reduce debt, or you reduce the rates for borrowing, and then that increases the amount of money in the labor market, and then boom, you have a bunch of people who get back on their feet, but they're in debt now, right? So, and then you just keep repeating this process, and they never really get ahead. And that's really the sad part about this whole Federal Reserve system. And it really just steals money from the working class. Pretty easily put.
Less production, and that's where we're at. I mean, it was great when the money printer first started, especially for the United States, when we could just print and export all of our inflation. And now, all these decades later, it's hollowed out our economy. It's hollowed out the working class. It has offshored all of our manufacturing and productivity. I mean, it has real consequences in enough time. And so I compare it in the book to like a drug addict. Every time you need more of the drug to experience the same high. And that's essentially what we've been experiencing in this money printer economy. So what's the solution? A parallel system that we can peacefully opt into little by little that has no inflation, that is inflation proof. And for people that might be watching or listening to this who still might believe that, no, you need inflation, you need the supply to expand, or else.
Well, it's actually deflationary because people are constantly losing their coins. So coins are being burned all the time as well. So it's actually the supply is getting smaller.
People will hoard it and all of a sudden the whole economy will collapse. I urge you to listen to my interview with Jeff Booth, where we really break down inflation and deflation. I used that interview, actually, I wasn't even going to release it. I used it as background research for my book, where I called him up and I said, you know what, Jeff, there are some things I still just don't understand about your thesis and how you break things down. And I'm writing this book and I need your help a little bit. And so we sat down and we broke down inflation at its core. And I used that in this book as well. So question the system. We do not need inflation. It's a lie.
All right. Enough plugging her book on my channel.
Why are so many people so negative about Bitcoin today when all these resources are available literally for free to everyone?
Because we don't like changing. As human beings, we are so afraid of changing stuff in our life. We know that it would require us to live differently. We are afraid of life looking different than what we know it to be, and we're afraid of uncertainty. And there is so much uncertainty with starting something new, and you don't know what it's going to look like, and people are afraid of risks. And the other thing is that we're, as a species, we're lazy. We really don't want to start working, learning, doing stuff. Oh, now I have to do this. Oh, my husband takes care of all of that. All these excuses that prevent us from growing, prevent us from discovering the new frontier, the next level of the game. Because this is all a game. Like, we're here to experience as many lessons as we can, grow and learn and develop, and keep on upgrading all the time. And so many people are just on the same level since they were adolescents or teenagers, and they haven't developed much since. Maybe they got a better job, maybe whatever, but it's really superficial and it's not significant. If you really want to experience this, you need to strive for more challenges.
You need to put in the work.
Yeah, you got to put in the work. And that's what makes life interesting. I think otherwise we die, and then what? Because we're going to die anyway, right?
Why are so many people so negative about Bitcoin today when all these resources are available literally for free to everyone?
Because we don't like changing. As human beings, we are so afraid of changing stuff in our life. We know that it would require.
Oh. Trying to configure this Zoom stuff. Probably need to download some. Welcome back. I'm just testing out fucking not WebEx, fucking Zoom. Eyes all twitching out. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. They have given a bot. Alright, let's install this. The workshop. Errors while processing. Did it actually work? Maybe it did. Maybe it did. Hopefully this will all run at the same time. All right. So I am talking to me. How is that working out? All right, and so we'll say audio. Hello. 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 All right. So the audio appears to be working pretty well. Hello. Hello. Okay. I think that's gonna work. Okay. So we'll just go with that for now. All right. Good deal. Okay. Let's see here. What else do we have?
I do think that we are in a rigged game.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I have so much hope in Bitcoin is it levels the playing field. There is no one that can rig the rules and no one that has a special advantage. So it makes the game actually more interesting and fun because it's a real competition where merit is what is rewarded,
That's right.
where value is actually rewarded, as opposed to our current system, which is like, if you're at the top, you benefit, the rules are rigged for you. And so of course you have a bunch of players now all across the world who are like, this game is unfair. I don't like the winners because they shouldn't have won. They didn't earn it. It's unfair. Give me a piece of the pie here. And that's why I think I relate to a lot of the populism that's increasing, because for the average person, they're like, I'm never going to get ahead. And these people just get richer and richer off my back. And that's where I think Bitcoin is like that antidote to that core corruption where it...
But it's not, though. It's not. You know, like, these folks don't understand market manipulation. You're trying to get ahead in a market where one party has infinite money in the currency that everybody measures the value of Bitcoin against. You know, what is one Bitcoin? You tell me. What is one Bitcoin worth right now? $90,000? Dollars, right? Yeah. So if somebody controls how you can spend dollars, and then they can print infinite money that is not technically circulated in consumer markets and other places that can affect the price of everything else, but they can buy into crypto almost exclusively with infinite cash. What do you think that does? You think that's not happening? Everybody wonders why Bitcoin and everything moves mysteriously, just like completely out of step with reality and demand and usage, adoption, everything. It's being manipulated. The one thing that will get this coin off the ground is if everybody uses it. If they actually accept it for their services. You cannot convert to the dollar if you actually believe in this like new Bitcoin world. You can't piggyback it off of the dollar. It won't work. The dollar will always screw over the price, the value of Bitcoin. Now, if everybody used Bitcoin, the dollar would have less of an effect. It would just dramatically diminish in value the more they spent on it, you know? It would come out in the wash down the road, but it would come out sooner. You know, right now, we all depend on it. So when the markets react this way, there's all this like influx in and out through the markets because we all still use the dollar. But if we were all using Bitcoin, then the dollar would sort of just toil itself away eventually into oblivion. But that can't happen as long as we price everything in the dollar. Not saying that we shouldn't use the dollar. I'm just saying that's what the truth is. So, let's go to the next clip.
We started working with a mining provider. We sent about $500,000 worth of equipment to that provider, and it was a total loss. And so in that period, right after getting engaged, I had a kind of a crisis of self-worth, wondering if I could provide for my wife. So we decided to go out on our own, kept selling off parts of our real estate portfolio to build our own site in Oregon and just make sure that the experience that we wanted to have, we could have for ourselves.
You know, I'll never forget the moment where he approached me to let me know that we weren't getting any of our money back. You know, tears in his eyes. And as a wife, seeing your husband in such a vulnerable moment where they felt violated, taken advantage of, in their eyes, they think you look at them as the provider. And then in his heart, I could tell that he felt like he had failed me and that he was ashamed. I also, because it was such a painful moment in our life, that I didn't want anyone to go through it either. Because we called, we emailed, we tried to get in touch with this company, and there was just nothing. They ghosted us to the point where I asked him, I was like, just show up at the door. I need you to just fly across country and show up at the door and get something done, like get answers. And it was just infuriating, honestly. And then to start researching it and see how many people were scammed in the industry, it was so rampant that I thought, how do they sleep at night knowing that they're just out to take advantage of people? You know, we just started to create a site for ourselves so that we could just mine confidently and know like, hey, it's taken care of and it's run properly.
We started working with a mining provider.
Okay. Did you have to send that much right up front?
If I were to just simply ask you, why is Bitcoin better than real estate? What would you say?
I would say real estate is not truly finite, and it's going to fall to its utility value over time. And unless you're in the very best markets in the world, I think that it's going to be a rude awakening for people who are putting all of their stock in real estate. And that was really what changed for me in 2020, was realizing, you know, even if I'm a very responsible allocator with my real estate portfolio, I am tied to everybody else that carries a huge amount of leverage on their properties. It doesn't matter if I've got zero debt on my properties. I am tied to the entire real estate market, which is largely fueled by the expansion of credit. And that was very concerning to me. Maybe not in the very short term, but I'm trying to think on a multi-decade time horizon, what is actually going to live for the entirety of our investing lifespan. And so to me, Bitcoin was just the obvious choice. It's totally uncorrelated. It's outside of the system. Even though people think that there's a lot of leverage that drives it, it's just not the case.
if I were to just simply ask,
You know what? I don't know about all that, because there's a lot, and like I said just before, there's a lot of other factors about Bitcoin. The fact that it's an unregulated, like most of the markets are unregulated, and there's no way for anyone to know if the markets are being manipulated, which they most certainly are. So, you know, the real estate market, yeah, he's right about the expansion of credit and too much leverage, but he also isn't considering the fact that Bitcoin is heavily manipulated in every market. Like, for instance, you can wash trade Bitcoin in pretty much any exchange with impunity, which is illegal, at least in the United States, in a regulated exchange environment. There's tons of things that you can do that are totally illegal in traditional financing that you can do with Bitcoin. So yeah, I don't know about all that. Seems like he should understand a bit about that. Perhaps maybe that's why he lost $500,000, because he did. Bitcoin, gold won't beat Bitcoin. Yeah, that's
I think
true.
that gold will be progressively demonetized, and at some point, gold will just be viewed like silver. I mean, silver is, I'm wearing a silver belt. Imagine this is a gold belt buckle. I can afford this. You know, I can't quite afford a solid gold belt buckle. I couldn't afford the solid gold belt buckle before Bitcoin. Maybe I could now.
I'm sure you could.
But the point is, I wouldn't buy it now because it's going to devalue until it's worth silver at some point. Because at the end of the day, it's just a little bit better than silver. And ultimately, it's going to be the Bitcoin belt buckle you're going to want.
No, that's that's not true at all. That is absolutely not true. Gold is not just a little bit better than silver. Okay. Very wrong about that. There's several physical properties to superior. Anyway. Gold? Eh. That's actually a really crazy statement to say that. You know, gold has... So what would cause the price of gold to go down? You know what I mean? There would have to be like a massive sell-off, you know? Like, when could that really happen? So what he's saying is that there's a massive sell-off of gold, and let's say everybody sells it for Bitcoin. So suddenly gold is not used as any sort of store of value. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Gold is like permanent though. You know what I mean? Like, if you really want to get down to it, gold will not disappear. It is conceivable that Bitcoin and its network and everything could just be blocked and made illegal everywhere. Okay. You can't just make gold illegal and you cannot block gold. Like, you can hide gold. You can't hide Bitcoin. Bitcoin exists because of a network and a consensus that is a real-time consensus algorithm that operates on a network that's connected in real time. And if that network is disrupted and, you know, shattered and splintered and all of that stuff, then you don't have consensus, and then you definitely lose the value of Bitcoin. Which, if all the governments came together, they could do that. They could potentially like disconnect the countries from communicating with each other. It's not impossible. You know what I mean? It's not impossible for the governments to break the internet. You know? That's not out of the realm of possibility. So I still don't think gold takes a back seat that much to Bitcoin. I still think it's a viable asset, even if Bitcoin goes to the moon. You might even say, you know what I think? This just came to me because I was just talking about how we just value everything in the dollar. We should be valuing everything in gold. You know, we should be saying like, how much does Bitcoin equal in ounces of gold? You know, like I can get 1 Bitcoin for 10 ounces, which I think is, well, let's say it's $1,000 right now, right? And then, okay, so I need 90 ounces of gold right now. And then that's kind of where we set the bar and sort of cut over. And then we start pricing out everything in gold from there on out. And, see where it goes. That might be the best cutover. Then we start tokenizing gold. We go back to the gold standard. And we have, proof of reserve, gold, tokenized gold. And yeah, then we could actually maybe do something that would be less dangerous and less vulnerable to manipulation. So, but I don't know how dangerous that is to say that. Anyway, no-brainer investment. Let's see if this is a shill job.
Offer a price prediction of $500,000 per Bitcoin by the end of the decade. How did you get there?
I'm actually pretty conservative. A lot of other folks say 1 million by 2030. Michael Saylor says 5 million, but not too many others share their math. I do pretty openly, so I'll tell you very quickly and easily how I get there. If you take a look at the world's global assets, the total value of everything, the value of stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, oil, commodities, you name it, add up the total value of everything, it's about $800 trillion. Now, if you take
800 trillion
stuff, you own a little bit of it, I own a little bit of it, we all own a little bit. If all the owners of all that stuff allocate just 1% of their portfolio to Bitcoin, that would be a flow of $8 trillion. That would put Bitcoin at 500,000. Simple as that.
That's just like what they say on Shark Tank, where it's like, oh, there's a $5 billion market. If we just get 1%, and then they're always like, yeah, but 0% of 5 billion is still 0, right? So what's going to make them do that? What is going to make them invest $8 trillion? What is going to cause that? Do they need to send $8 trillion? Is there an $8 trillion demand? Did he do that math? Doesn't sound like it. Do we need to pay $8 trillion in fees? Because that's really what holding Bitcoin was supposed to be for, is to pay fees, I guess. It's supposed to be a global ledger for transferring money. Supposed to be a medium of exchange to reduce fees. Okay, so where is he getting this $8 trillion investment? Like, Bitcoin is a business. Bitcoin is a business. It's like Western Union or something, right? Like, people send the money along the network, and then it ends up at someone's wallet who has US dollars, for instance, and then they then transfer the money, or they exchange it for US dollars and then give it to whoever the recipient is, right? So you're assuming, so the math isn't you're talking about, the math isn't based on any like real adoption. It's just talking about speculation. You're just saying there's going to be $8 trillion of speculation at that point. Why? Why? Is adoption going to increase? Right? Is Bitcoin going to be, by 2030, you think Bitcoin's going to be the leader? That is a stretch. That is a big stretch. That is a huge gamble. That's like somebody in the 80s saying that Atari is going to be the gaming console until the year 2000. You know? Like, it's the first, blockchain cryptocurrency to come out, and you think that it's not going to be succeeded by something superior. There are already several superior projects to Bitcoin. It's just, how long is it going to take for adoption to take place? How many governments and institutions are going to choose another project, another cryptocurrency over Bitcoin? That's the war going on right now. It's the war of partnerships and adoptions. Is Bitcoin going to win that war? I don't know. Bitcoin doesn't do smart contracts very well at all. I already talked about Taproot. That's not going to win the smart contract war. I can guarantee you that. No matter what you think about Taproot, that's not going to win the contract war, the smart contract war. And then it takes 10 minutes minimum, which really, it usually takes about 20, 30, 40 minutes, realistically, if you don't put a super high fee on it. Okay? It's the first blockchain of it's the first blockchain. So there are others that are better. And so by 2030, really, you think it's still going to be on the top? I think that's a very narrow view, and you're probably going to get wrecked. Anyway.
$500,000 per Bitcoin by the end of the decade. How did you get there?
I'm actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think I'm going to end the stream for tonight. But let me tell you, I had so much fun. All right, I think we got a lot of cool stuff going on here. We got our little social links, we got our screen share, and we got our chat hooked up. And we got Zoom all hooked up, so we're ready to go for tomorrow. Anyway,